Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Plus Jacob Wild 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. Alrighty, guys, that's right. It is it's the first episode of Disney of So Far So Good, says Donovan. Welcome to the chat, Donovan. Glad you could join us. So it's the first episode of our weekly recap show for Disney Plus, because of course, you know, with Disney doing releasing episodes weekly of their big flagship shows, you know, we wanted to keep up with that. We wanted to keep up with the conversation. We didn't want to do like a big weekly recap for The Mandalorian, particularly like breaking everything down beat by beat. We'd love to do that, just not enough time in the day, folks. Sorry, we kind of got to pick and choose our battles here. But essentially what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be going over news. We're going to be going over the new episodes that have dropped. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that we've caught up on in terms of originals, and we're going to talk about some tales from the backlog, if you will, some tales from the vault. And then we're going to end things out on with Dragon. I want you to sell this, man. I want you to sell this like your heart depends on it. What are we going to end up, Wolf?
Folks, I'm going to tell you what we're going to end on. We're going to end on something really special. We're going to end on... See, my associate here, Tiki. Tiki, you know, he's ventured into Disney Plus. You know, he's combed the wilds. You know, he's kind of looking for what piques his interest in the kind of this grand safari of streaming, one might say. And you know what? He's going to come out on top with Tiki's obscure pick of the week.
That's right. That's right. And it's not going to be any of the Love Bug movies, because I started in on that, but then something happened with my family on Wednesday that kind of, cascaded that. So I couldn't really get past the first movie. I do intend, when I watch the Love Bug movies, I'm watching them all in a row. I do intend on that. I do intend on marathoning it at some point. I just need to find the time when.
So he says.
Perhaps this Wednesday. Yeah, so I say. So it's not going to be Herbie Goes Bananas or anything like that. It's going to be something much more obscure than that, folks. Trust me when I say this. All right. We have a person in the chat. Inhuman Quake says he's Nerd Thanos fan. He forgot his old password. So thanks for clearing that up with us. Inhuman Quake / Nerd Thanos fan. Happy to have you on board with us. Happy to have you. Welcome. Okay, Donovan says Mando equals my new Friday show. And yeah, Donovan, I think with Disney Plus, they've basically single-handedly brought back event television, I think. Because a lot of the times it's sort of like much to Dragon's chagrin, I still subscribe to the sit down and watch Survivor with my family every week model. You know, but that's literally the only show I do that with. Every other show that comes out, you know, your Mr. Robots and Rick and Morty's of the world, I just watch that on my own time on streaming services. But you know, The Mandalorian, of course, we're all going to watch on our own time. We're not gathered around the TV at 8 p.m. But it's cool to have on Friday, boom, the discussion kind of bursts out around it. It's really cool to have that on a weekly basis now. All right, but you guys, you know what's not so cool?
What?
Dramatic pause there. Honestly, a lot of the technical stuff with Disney Plus, I gotta tell you, Disney's web design with the My Magic Plus app and stuff like that, where it's kind of not been the greatest web design in the world. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, kind of carrying over to Disney Plus. Look, I am the biggest champion in the world of Disney Plus when it comes to it being an archive, you know, just like a research material for classic animation and goofy, obscure films and stuff like that. I am like the biggest champion in the world of that in terms of just prosperity's sake. But we'll get to technical stuff soon enough, Dragon. Let's just get into our lead story here, Dragon. We've got some. We're playing a little bit of a shell game here. Unfortunately, it's come to this very soon, folks. Much more soon than I feel comfortable with.
So, folks, sad as it is to say, and one of my biggest hopes is that Disney, they're going to jump into this. They're going to begin the quote unquote streaming war with both boots on the ground, so to speak. And you know what they're going to do to separate themselves from the competition? They're going to do what Netflix is too chicken to do. They're going to hold on to their library. They're going to basically let's just keep adding to it, man. We're freaking Disney. We got money for days. We have Scrooge McDuck. We don't just have one Scrooge McDuck vault. We have several. We have a whole floor of vaults. We have like a whole pool complex of money, one could say. Unfortunately, folks, I found out. And again, I'll be honest, I'm holding out hopes this is not the case. We'll find out the 25th of this month. Because the word is, a number of the movies that are there are going to have expiration dates, as in we're going to begin the grand shell game. When I say shell game, folks, I mean the thing that Netflix does all the time where you go for a title that, oh yeah, I saw that there, and of course, come the end of the month or some sort of date, usually monthly, half the titles will be gone. They'll go to others, probably other streaming services, or just not be there at all, and you're going to have to wait, and then by the time you probably rent it some other place, if you're really inclined to do so, then look, the following month, several months down the line, oh look, there it is again, and I just wasted a couple bucks. Just great.
That exact scenario happened with me with Netflix and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I'm still bitter about it.
So my point is, folks, the one that I'm going to be keeping an eye out for, and I recommend everybody do the same to see how true this may be. Word is, Princess and the Frog will lead the charge. And Princess and the Frog, let me frame this for you, folks.
What a glorious thing to lead the charge of.
Just let me frame this here for you, folks. Again, Disney Plus has just dropped on us November 12th, correct? November the 12th. This week, and we're in the first week of Plus, hence the namesake of the episode here. First week of Plus, we're at the end of the first week, and roughly a week later, things are going to start disappearing after they just dropped everything there. And the Princess and the Frog, which is currently on there, as Tiki has checked, going to be gone. It's going to be gone, going to be shipped away somewhere else, and soon to be joined by others, I believe. So that's just great.
The South Park meme, and it's gone.
You see what I mean? Isn't that just kind of ridiculous? As you think like they do, if they're really gonna, they people have, again, with the whole streaming wars of all, people have said like, "Yo, man, they're burying Netflix." The question like, who's gonna come out on top? Is Netflix gonna be completely buried by this and the whole Apple TV thing and all yada yada yada? And in moves like this, you think, okay, well, if they're really gonna try to make a dent against Netflix, again with all the Disney names, and of course them basically having like a cutoff for the Netflix movies that were Disney movies that were on Netflix, and essentially they're going to regain ownership. At least that was the assumption. For example, if you look, here's the annoying thing: if you go to Coco is somewhat on Disney Plus, but it's an advertisement for Coco. If you go to Coco, you can't.
That's actually the case for a lot of movies.
See, I didn't know it was for the rest of them. I just knew it was for Coco.
Yeah, pretty much everything that is going to come on, like a lot of the Marvel movies too. I think. Are just like basically just like, hey, it's coming.
That's just ridiculous.
Honestly, Dragon, there's a lot of things like from a just like from an organizational point of view of Disney Plus that needs to be fixed.
So this is something that's just really, I think, is kind of like kind of deflating the balloon, the glorious well-loved balloon that is Disney Plus. Like, oh look, I got a shiny new balloon with a nice big plus on it. Look at that. Oh, I'm so proud. I have it tied around my wrist. I'm just la-di-da-di-da. I was going down the streets, and oh, look at my nice balloon. Of course, over the days of kind of like basking in it, of course, it deflates a little bit to the point of kind of you're 3 days later, and kind of guess in the terms of up, and it's like, well, now we have a choice, and now we're kind of in a vague mourning process of some variety. Now we have to make some serious decisions here, and it's a fleeting feeling, really, but hopefully we'll reinflate it as time goes on. At the very least, when the Marvel stuff comes, I'll be like a giant blimp, and I'll be, oh my goodness, look at this dirigible we have here. It's like the ending of Up. How wonderful. Till that point, though, we're just kind of like deflating and like, well, look what's not on Disney Plus, and look what they're doing. They're taking stuff away. Look at how this is mishandled, mislaid. It sounds like these are really first world problems, but we're in the first world, folks. At least we are. I can't speak for every viewer watching this, but I can say, you know what? it's unfortunate, especially given all the hype and all the fanfare around Disney Plus. They're making these amateur mistakes, and you think all the money they've put into this thing, they really have all their ducks in a row, and it's kind of a shame. But again, let's not curse the darkness entirely. But right now we're in kind of the cursing the darkness segment. So TK, I think you should tell about the next thing.
Well, first of all, Jacob, don't want to leave you out in the cold.
Right.
You got anything to say about this?
I don't really have much to say about the whole thing myself. I just haven't really seen anything about anything leaving.
All right. Well, Dragon, it is rumors, right?
Well, all I can say the stuff leaving is we won't know until the 25th. But I'm just saying stuff like Coco not being up there yet, and when they're saying they're advertising it, that's not a good omen. But again, in all fairness, again, it's not the 25th yet, so we'll see.
All right. So one of the biggest controversies with Disney Plus is one of the biggest selling points of it, which is, hey, folks, look, you get all the seasons of The Simpsons, which include all 9 or 10 of the good ones. Yay!
So season 2 to 10?
Basically, yes. I would even maybe say season 2 to 9, so all 8 episodes of the good ones. In season 1, I have a lot of nostalgia for, though. It's not great, but I have nostalgia for it. Anyways, so with the aspect ratio thing, I don't think it bothers me as much as it bothers a lot of other people, but that's just because I'm someone where I don't know. It's interesting. When it comes to TV shows, I don't care as much. It doesn't bother me as much. When it comes to movies, it drives me crazy. So that's the interesting thing. Like, I'm of two minds of the aspect ratio thing. I'm not saying it's not disappointing. I'm not saying it, I'm not saying it should, like, in a perfect world, we would get the right aspect ratio for all these episodes. But I'm saying I don't think the aspect ratio thing makes it unwatchable by any means. Does it cut into some of the visual gags? Yes, it does, and that's unfortunate. But still, I mean, go ahead, Jacob.
There are two things to be said about that, though. Like, there's also the issue with FXX, that the streaming site that they put them on. So Disney basically inherited those. So they're partly to that's partly to blame, and the fact, and also Disney did say that they are working on rectifying that issue later.
Well, of
on.
course, because of all the backlash they got.
Yeah, but no, that is a good point, though. Disney is. I do hope to see that problem fixed soon.
Real quick, so with the aspect ratio, what's the deal? Like, is it blown up too far? Like, what's the? I don't know what specifically what the issue is.
It's basically 4:3 stretched to fit 16:9.
Yeah. So yes, it is definitely blown up too far.
I see, and of course, honestly, the big takeaway I got, but mind you, I haven't investigated it myself thoroughly, but from what I heard, they've edited content on The Simpsons. I heard they took some jokes out.
Basically, they took the Michael Jackson episode out entirely. I'm not entirely sure about the jokes on a series wide level. Jacob, you have any insight on that?
As far as I know, they haven't really. I mean, nobody's reported any jokes being edited or anything like that. I mean, the reason that they did remove them. It has been blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. They did. I mean, it is publicly known that there was that the Michael Jackson episode would be pulled long before that, because they actually pulled off a circulation period because of the whole Michael Jackson controversy. So it wasn't just put out of Disney Plus; it's pretty much just pulled out everywhere.
I still have the DVD with the Michael Jackson episode on it. Just want to state that for the record.
I mean, so yeah, but as far as editing jokes, I think they pretty much kept, as far as everyone's been reporting, or at least there's nobody been reporting it. Pretty much everything else has remained intact, other than the aspect ratios and stuff like that. But
I mean, so far the only other legit edit that has been kind of seen was the whole Han Greedo thing, where they have the McClunky thing,
which is fucking weird.
Did you see it yet? Did you look at the clip yet?
Yes, I did.
It's weird, right? Because it's literally okay. We're doing the
McClunky.
Yeah, straight.
There is another edit. It's not a major one, but apparently they changed Grunkle Stan's. Jacob, do you know about this?
Actually, I do.
Okay, go ahead. You could probably tell it better than I could.
Apparently, you know how how Grunkle Stan's Fez changed.
Grunkle Stan in Gravity Falls.
Yeah, how his Fez changed more like the Pac-Man symbol later on. Apparently the episodes they pulled for whatever reason his original Fez design was edited out in like some Asian countries or something along those lines when they were aired over there, and that's the version they had access to for Disney Plus, and that's the reason why the Fez is gone. But the Fez symbol still appears in later episodes, from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's a really weird situation, but I don't really think it matters that much.
Apparently, Alex Hirsch got on them about it, but who cares?
Yeah, Alex Hirsch, I think, kind of took it a little too seriously. Like, I feel like if it was something like, like the blood and stuff from the Northwest Manor Noir episode being censored, which is something that I would legitimately see Disney doing, then I'd be much more on Alex Hirsch's side about this. But I don't know, man. To me, it's like it doesn't affect anything about the actual show for me. I don't know. That's just kind of where I lie on it.
Although again, it's his show, so we're not really one to talk.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not really on his side either. I'm just looking at it from his perspective. And knowing Alex Hirsch, he could have just been trolling.
Knowing him, yes, you're right. Okay, so guys, I want to quickly just round up like some of the big technical issues that people have been having, and honestly, like I've been hearing less about the pages not loading and site crashes and all that. I've been hearing less about that, but I feel like there's a general sort of like quality of life element to Disney Plus that unfortunately is kind of missing a little bit. One of the things that I'm really kind of on them about is they really need to have a tab on there right at the homepage that's just watched recently.
Yeah, the continued watching thing, it's still bugging me.
That needs to happen.
Especially if you're trying to binge something, it's really annoying because you have to go through the thing, you got to find it.
Pretty much all of my technical issues have subsided. I mean, with movies now, as I mentioned, now the movies weren't working on the TV. That issue has been rectified. But yeah, like the recent watching thing, that's when like one where they really dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's definitely and that's a patch that's like easy to make, and I really don't see why they haven't made it yet.
The weird thing is, I did when I first went to their site, I watched a bit of The Mandalorian, then exited. It actually did say resume Mandalorian, but now I've never seen it again. Like it was there, and then it wasn't.
Look, I do have faith. I mean, just because it's something so simple, I have faith that they're going to fix that sooner rather than later. I mean, they've got to. It's a simple fix, but until then, it kind of sucks that we don't have it. Especially with me and like kind of sampling all my obscure movies. I'm not watching till the end of all those movies. I'm kind of sampling a lot of them, and I will watch to the end if it really intrigues me. But it kind of sucks because sometimes I'll get like 10 minutes in, just sample it and be like, I'm gonna check out something else, but then I forget about it. And by nature of it being an obscure movie, I was like, what the hell was that obscure movie I was watching? Anyways, that's a first real problem related to just me. But there's been some weird issues. Like, I haven't seen this happen, but I've heard some people randomly say that Russian subtitles will just pop up and they can't get rid of them. And it's like literally part of the transfer.
That's weird.
Specifically on the Princess Diaries.
Okay.
I want to actually come to think of it, guys. I want to kind of check in on that right now with the Princess Diaries, just to see if that's actually legit. But do you, any other things that were kind of quality of life issues with Disney Plus?
Yeah,
something particularly weird for me is that like if you go to a show like you put on your watch list, it still says add to watch list. Like there's no it still shows up, but it says doesn't show that it's on your checklist, even if you like go from your checklist, basically.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I got two. I got one that I'm gonna save for when we get to another segment, but a minor one is I think it's better than it was. I don't know if it's fixed or not on the PlayStation. Sometimes you'll have an episode and it'll play, and you'll have to exit out of it.
Yeah. I mean, just in general with the episode layouts, a lot of stuff is like out of order, and that's unfortunate.
Well, that was my other thing. The episodes are ridiculously out of order, so that's
That's really unfortunate, and that's kind of like one of those things where that's not as easy of a fix as just adding a watch later queue, but I still feel like that's like, give some interns that job, and in a weekend they can sort that out. I mean, it's
and I
not
gotta
that
tell you,
hard.
with episodes being out of order, here's the ridiculous part. Okay, we're
Okay.
speaking of aspect ratios. This isn't quite the aspect ratio thing, but this is like the kind of the old versus new of it all, where the way certain seasons are laid. I don't know if every show is doing this, but the one that I binged, basically you'll have episodes from the earlier seasons and like one from like the last seasons, and it'll be like old episode like back on during the cell animation, then the new one that's done on computer, and vice versa. And it's just really distracting. It's just really like, oh, obviously this is more towards the end, and it's very out of order. And it's really annoying. But again, the one that I'm hoping was fixed, it's the with the PlayStation. I don't know if there's just people on the PlayStation have this, or if it's happening on the regular stuff. Is sometimes when you'll play an episode, it'll just kind of like you'll hear the episode going on, but it'll kind of freeze, and just have to basically go out and then come back in, then it'll fix itself. But it's a little annoying, and it hasn't done it lately to me, so I think it's fixed itself, but sometimes it rears its head. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Jacob, anything else on your end? By the way, guys, I just checked Princess Diaries. No weird Russian subs on my end. That's sort of a weird thing. I don't know how. I don't know what the deal with that is. I did hear it on a news thing though.
Other than like the lack of the watch or rewatch feature and all that. I mean, I haven't really I really checked out too many episodes, but I can imagine the whole out of order thing being annoying.
Very.
But other than that, I personally haven't really experienced any major technical issues. I mainly watch it through my TV app, so I haven't really experienced much other problems there.
I don't think the out of order thing is going to be as much of a problem for me because most of the binge stuff that I want to eventually get to is the Disney afternoon stuff. And yeah, stuff like DuckTales is serialized, but like I highly doubt that the order in which I watch like Tailspin or Chippendales Rescue Rangers is going to matter that much in terms of continuity from episode to episode. All right, guys. So I think we should get to what everyone's been waiting for, the weekly recap.
Yeah.
Woo!
Woohoo!
All right, so Mandalorian episode 2, The Child.
So, how spoilery are we going with this, by the way? Because obviously we're not going to break
spoilers. Full spoilers. Sorry, guys. Basically, what we'll do is we'll do like a sort of like a brief, sort of like thesis statement, first reaction type thing. We'll go roundtable with it. But sorry, guys. We kind of have to get into spoilers here. I can like what I can do if anyone in the chat doesn't want to be spoiled. I can maybe write like type in the chat when we're finished talking spoilers. Like so for example, or no, I know what I can do. So what I can do is this: when we get to spoilers, I will put this on screen. And then when you see this on screen, that means mute it. Mute your volume on your computer, whatever you're watching this on, if you don't want spoilers for Mandalorian. And then when you don't see it on screen, we're not talking spoilers, and it's all good. All right, good workaround, Dragon.
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. So episode 2, The Child. I gotta say, is this a little bit of a video game side quest type episode? Yes. Is there not a lot of story? Yes. Is it one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media maybe ever? Gotta say yes. This episode is maybe it's wish fulfillment for me. It is what Star Wars is at its greatest, which is kind of just this sandbox, this exploration into all these weird alien species and kind of like the limitless possibilities that you can have with this universe. The fact that this universe is essentially just a big bag of toys and the creators are just playing around with the toys. And like I feel like Star Wars is at its worst when it tries to get too overtly political or too self-serious. And that's kind of what I'm loving about The Mandalorian, because it's not like The Mandalorian has like a light and goofy tone to it or anything like that. Far from it. It's got a pretty grounded tone. But the way that The Mandalorian is playing with these little pieces of Star Wars lore, I got to tell you, it kind of makes me feel like a kid again. It's kind of like reigniting my love of Star Wars. And I think this is a very healthy show to have on right before episode 9 comes out. I'm sure episode 9 will blow the fan base in half. You know, once again, I'm sure episode 9 will be a shit show. I have no doubt about that.
No matter how good it actually turns out to be.
Exactly. But for the time being, guys, I think it's fair to say that this is a nice sort of coming together for Star Wars fans, where I really have not seen anyone being like, yeah, Mandalorian it's not true Star Wars. It's ruining George Lucas's vision of Star Wars. Like, I've literally not seen one negative post about The Mandalorian, and that I feel like is really impressive. All right. So who wants to go? Jacob, you want to?
Sure. Right. Not to repeat any of your points, is like, or borrowing on them too much. It really, I mean, this is like, we can really tell this is like where the show's beginning to settle. And it's like, okay, this is what the show is really about. Like, obviously, the first episode has to set up the world, the character, and obviously the story. This is the story continuing. It's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We get to. And one thing I really appreciated about this episode is like there was pretty much no like spoken dialogue for the first 10 minutes of the episode. Basically told all throughout through the action and the visuals itself. I mean, I really appreciate that kind of storytelling. It's not something you see that often in Star Wars, but it still feels like a grounded Western, but it still has that. It's like a perfect marriage of the Western style and a sci-fi feel of Star Wars. Like, this feels like Star Wars, but it also feels like something that Sergio Leone would have made. Plus the Mandalorian continues to be an interesting character, even though you know exactly what he's doing and what he's feeling, even though you actually never see his face, which is great acting on Pedro Pascal's part. Basically, I don't think a single scene in this episode is wasted. Like, it feels like, even if it doesn't really serve the overall story later on, it feels like it serves this episode's purpose, and that's exactly what it should do.
It's filler, but it's not filler. I shouldn't call it filler. There are a couple key plot details with the title character, let's say, to kind of dance around spoilers. But
well, for sure. But as I said, it serves the overall plot of the story, but it serves itself its own contained story, which itself, as the last one would, it actually would make a fine short movie in it itself. Like, a lot of these, so far, these first 2 episodes feel like they could be very good, very well short movies, and they'd be perfectly serviceable.
In a perfect world, I feel like every episode should be like that. Should kind of service the overall narrative, but still be like a short film unto itself.
I mean, obviously, you'd have to know what's going on from the previous episodes to understand, hence the serialized nature. But it actually kind of captures like the serial the serial's serialistic nature that George Lucas was going for in a way in the original Star Wars. So it lives up to its roots in probably some of the best ways Star Wars has ever done. I mean, the visuals are still astounding. Like, it actually looks like it was like filmed on a big movie budget, but it still has that look and feel of Star Wars, and even has probably a bit more intimate look at these characters than like a big overblown thing. Not that I don't mind like the larger scale movies. This is actually just like, it's kind of a nice change of pace. Like, a final thing, it has a lot of. I really appreciate the breathing room this show has. Like, it has a lot of time to breathe and be its own thing. All right, I'm done.
All right, Dragon.
Yeah, so I'm still head over heels for Mandalorian. It's I'm still astonished by it. Again, as we talked about with the first episode, I thought it was an excellent pilot. You know, it's very dense. It's a very satisfying chapter. Basically, each episode so far seems to be the kind of a satisfying chapter, as the namesake suggests, that keeps you coming back for more. Some people are complaining that it's too short, but I got to tell you guys, it's so dense. I feel very satisfied with each installment because, again, it does feel like a mini movie, as it should be.
Okay, you know what? With the length, I feel like the length kind of makes it all killer, no filler. like Jacob said, every scene kind of contributes to the overall, like momentum. There's nothing that drags about it.
At least so
As
far.
we know with Netflix, as we know with the Marvel Netflix shows, that's something that they never really got their heads around.
Again, some of them.
Some, I know, yeah, I know. I'd still argue even in the best shows, there's maybe 1 or 2 episodes that have some pacing issues, but I digress. That's a whole rabbit hole, anyways.
Anyway. Anyway, so episode 2, though, again, not spoilery here, just episode 2, though. Let me put it this way. Jon Favreau, when he did Iron Man 2, he actually was able to work with Genndy Tartakovsky, and I feel he's very much being a fan of his with Samurai Jack. I can definitely see there's a lot of course, oddly enough, Genndy Tartakovsky as well did a Star Wars show even.
Oh, this is definitely Samurai Jack for sure.
No,
I didn't even think about that until you brought it up.
That's the thing. Of course, I think Favreau definitely. I think he's shown a lot of his love for Tartakovsky in this. And of course, the odd thing I looked. They kind of revealed certain crew details on the episodes coming up. No titles or anything. Just the details of who's directing, who's writing, or for the most part, who's directing, who's writing. And Favreau, he's not directing any of these. He's been writing and overseeing and show running, but he has not directed anything. Oddly enough. And,
I blame The Lion King.
Technically, that was the reason why he didn't direct any episodes this season. Like he was finishing post production on The Lion King, and he said he plans.
My blame is warranted.
He says he plans to direct at least 1 or 2 episodes next season, though.
Yes, I mean that's the thing. So far, Mandalorian's going so well. They've already announced they're doing 2 right now. They're doing 2 as we speak, as episode 2 is premiering. It's kind of neat. Regardless. I forget if he's writing every one, or at least he's written he's writing the first couple, if not at least writing or co-writing them from the beginning to the end of the first season. So far, yeah.
As far as this season goes, I think he's writing at least 6 or 7 of the episodes
out of 8, which is pretty impressive. So.
All right.
I mean, so far, I think it's in good hands. It's very much my favorite thing. The Mandalorian is it's kind of a Deadpool thing. I always love the bounty hunter culture. I love how we're getting to see like the occupation at play in these first 2 episodes. I don't know how much of an arc it's going to be. If there's going to be like a diverging from the path of being the bounty hunter, because I think some people have wondered if he's going to still be a bounty hunter within the show, or if it's going to be the whole he's a bounty hunter until this happens, and then he's going on a journey. So. Regardless, I like that we're getting we're able to live in what he's doing. We're living in the first job, at least the pivotal job that's probably going to have a great substance to what the first season's going to be about. So really impressive stuff. Still in love with episodes 1 and 2 here.
Okay. Spoiler alert for episodes 1 and 2. Okay.
So, what people are losing their minds about in this episode.
Yes. Baby Yoda.
Yes, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, it's even more adorable and marketable than Baby Groot somehow.
And all practical too. That's I love to see.
I know, that's what's amazing.
Practical. The only way you can make Yoda better in puppet form, make it a Baby Yoda, man.
Apparently, from what I heard, from what I read, like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, like they weren't sure they could pull it off with a puppet, and they briefly considered doing it CG. Until Werner Herzog stepped in.
Awesome.
Nice.
Herzog for the win, man.
Speaking of which, Herzog's really proud of this show, actually. Like he said, it's a return to great cinema and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Lucas has said he loves the show.
No, Herzog.
Oh, Herzog. Well, that's good.
Lucas is kind of a lost cause, right?
I know. That's what I'm saying. It would have been so remarkable. Like, you know what? He's not feeling the rest of it, but you know what? He likes his Mandalorian show. Isn't that nice? But no, we don't. Regardless,
Lucas is kind of slowly transforming into the film equivalent of Alan Moore.
Okay, well, regardless, back to Baby Yoda. So Baby Yoda, of course, I think the thing people are getting really confused over is the whole, oh my God, is it because the baby's 50 years old, which is a great detail given how old Yoda's species is.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
And it can't actually be Yoda because Yoda's only been dead for 5 years.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So the fact is, the fact did we ever know the name of? I don't think we've ever given the name of what Yoda's species is.
No, not in canon. People.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So I think Bailey put it this way. I think the only criticism I've heard with Mandalorian, the only thing in 2 is just kind of perpetuated is is that basically your deep purists are saying like it can't be like probably going for obscure details. They're like Yoda can't do this, Yoda can't do that. Well, on screen we haven't seen Yoda do much else, so it's fine. That's what I say.
That's not Yoda, so
Well, you know what I mean. The whole species. The fact we're just calling it Yoda because we don't have a name on the species, and that's the main. That's where all the issues come from. In fact, we haven't named the species.
well, I mean, I think that's actually a good thing because it opens up the door wide to
Exactly.
what it can do.
Precisely. I'm just saying, like, I'm just limiting. I think just basically your deep cut. Basically, people are looking to pick a fight with like the show of like it's more Star Wars, guys. Ready at the wait, and we're gonna pounce on it, man, like freaking Jawas. Speaking of which,
oh my god, the fucking Jawas, dude! This is exactly like my childhood wish fulfillment right here. I love Jawas so much.
The Jawas were so well replicated. They were so brought. They were brought back as if it, like not a year has gone by, and seeing the Jawas.
I'm literally getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
We haven't seen the Jawas since '77, man. Or at least properly, since
at least not live. I don't know if they've been in the animation stuff.
Well,
I'm sure there's been animated stuff with them.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't seen them live action. We haven't seen them.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we did. I just don't know.
I think the Jawas were so well represented. I love seeing kind of the Jawa culture, and we got to see more. We had a huge, awesome sequence with the Sandcrawler.
Oh my god!
That was awesome.
Fucking
and that was like, and that was all in the first. And that was all in the first 10 minutes, too.
Yeah. I know. That's what I'm saying about the pacing. Anyone who's complaining about, look, guys, I understand it's a shorter runtime, but the fact is it's so dense. It's all the good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you got to like see like the Mandalorian scaling the side of a sandcrawler, and then get knocked on, and he got knocked on his ass by a couple of Jawas.
My favorite thing about that, by the way, it's such a simple thing, but I just love it. Anyone, their mother, even like anyone watching the show, or anyone who's just vaguely familiar with Star Wars, basically knows who Boba Fett is, or like the guy with the T-shaped face from Star Wars, whoever. The point being, you basically look at this sequence, and it's the simple fact of okay, how do we know the big delineation between this guy and Boba Fett? Boba Fett can fly. Bear in mind, he can't fly well because when he flew, he killed himself. But my point is, Boba Fett can fly. The Mandalorian, this Mandalorian, cannot, which leads to the awesome sequence of he has to climb the thing because he can't fly up there, which is a great set piece for a scene where, and of course, some people point out it's a deep cut to one of the Star Wars games where you basically have to run against a sandcrawler. So
yeah. It also just kind of brings back the sense of scale that. Like we've had it here and there with the new trilogy, like Jakku, I feel like has a really good sense of scale to it, but I don't think we've had it as much as we did in the originals, specifically stuff like the opening shot of the whole saga. And this is another thing that kind of brings back that scale, that kind of like the David versus Goliath type mentality of Star Wars. And then, of course, this whole segment is just kind of like beautifully capped off by the, like the 10 Jawas just like instantly knocking him off as soon as he makes that big struggle to get out there.
This is the kind of stuff that makes you, really root for the Mandalorian, really get to know him. Because it's less that sequence is great, but I mean, the other great example is, he's tasked with getting the egg and have this really awesome kind of thing with the Mandalorian. He's pretty much like it's like a Revenant in space situation right now, where he's getting basically this giant kind of space rhino beast thing that he's going up against, where he's just being
taunted. Are you guys disappointed that they didn't use a Sarlacc?
Well, you can't do it in like the second episode.
I was going to say, do you think they're going to build to the Sarlacc? We got to see a Sarlacc in this show.
I'll tell you what,
I think that'd be more of a season 2 thing.
You think end of season 1, we're going to end on like Boba Fett climbing out of the Sarlacc?
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did I say Sarlacc? I meant. Sorry. Never mind the Sarlacc. I meant
Rancor.
Rancor. I meant Rancor. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Well, there goes all my points just now.
I'm sorry, Trekking.
Oh, but seriously, now that you've brought it up mistakenly, it does occur to me. I wonder, do you think, like, getting in the season, do you think this whole season, or some people, of course, have been going to the show wondering, like, like some people have asked, is it Boba Fett? We've confirmed it is not Boba Fett. As we can see plainly, it's not Boba Fett. It's just the Mandalorian who is.
That if it was Boba Fett.
That's what I'm saying. The point is, it's not going to be Boba Fett.
Just pointing to J.J. Abrams and just lying straight to her face about it.
Sure, but what I'm saying is,
Colin's not in this movie. Benedict Cumberbatch totally isn't playing Khan. I'm sorry, go ahead.
My point is, what if at the end of the season, like your post-credit gag, so to speak, obviously we don't have post-credits, and you know what I mean, the thing at the very end of the season was like, your big setup for season 2, which we know we're getting, was Boba Fett climbs out of the
Oh, yeah. The fan base would collectively shit themselves. I'm not even the biggest Boba Fett guy, and I would shit myself, honestly.
And that would be your set for you. You can keep like the Mandalorian story would continue with the other Mandalorian, probably hunting the other Mandalorian or vice versa.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no guarantees, but again, that Boba Fett movie was, from what I understand, is no longer happening. Therefore, the the space is free.
Oh hell yes, hell yes,
space.
Yes.
Really quick, I just want to point out my ultimate kind of like fanboy moment in this episode relating to the Jawas, and that was the moment where we get to see the fucking cockpit.
Yes.
Oh my god, I love that so much. I was geeking out so hard about that point of view. Anyways.
All
right, should we talk about Nick Nolte's character?
Yeah, but again, we don't want to talk too much about Mandalorian because again, we'll do like a real deep dive, down the line once we have everything. But yes, we should talk about Nick Nolte's character.
Quill, okay. I think it's Quill or Quill.
I gotta be honest, I'm so stupefied by the Mandalorian, I haven't even getting all the names yet, just because I'm just kind of blown away. But basically, here I kind of know him as here's the thing, he's an Ugnaught. I know him as he's like an Ugnaught. Remember the guys in Empire Strikes Back where they're tossing around C-3PO's head and Chewbacca's. That's what his race is. He's an Ugnaught, or at least some variation of Ugnaught.
Well, and speaking of it, this is a bit of a kind of like a backtrack, and also a spoiler for episode 1. So, considering that they were able to like bring C-3PO back from basically being torn apart and decapitated, I think they'll be able to bring back IG-11 from being shot in the head.
That's what I'm saying, because he didn't do the thing.
I really hope so.
Now we know. Now here's the thing: Watiti's directing the last episode. So the point is, Watiti's hanging around, so it's entirely possible. That's the thing. I mean, the fact is, R2's been shot in the head and he survived. And bear in mind, it wasn't as like literally it made a point of like, okay, IG-8. Well, sorry. There's IG-11, there's IG-88. 88's the original, 11's the new guy. So
correct.
Yeah, I mean, as you pointed out, the R2 units have been like blown to pieces, like their heads have been shot off, and they've been perfectly fine afterwards. So I think hopefully that IG-11 is just mildly incapacitated right now.
Plus, I bet you we're going to pay off the whole he's a self-destruct thing. That's got to be how he actually goes out at the end of the season.
Yeah,
even if he does go out.
Right. There was too much build up about that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm satisfied with
not to mention, he was like highly marketed. Like I feel like I am satisfied with his character arc, Dragon, but I feel like it would be
Plus he's only in for like 7 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't think they'd hire. I don't know if they'd hire someone like Watiti for that. Just that.
But again, he's directing, so they kind of have him in the neighborhood. So you can believe it. You can buy it both ways. If I'm being completely honest, you can buy it like he's in the neighborhood, so we did a voice for him. But otherwise, though, it'd be great if we'll keep him around and for a good character as well.
I saw somebody loop some Korg audio over IG-11, and it was hilarious.
But yes, I'd love to see him come back. But again, satisfying enough as is. But again, that basically the way that is a really good point where he takes him out there. That makes me think he might not be coming back. But again, that whole self-destruct thing, you gotta pay that off.
Okay, I gotta say, I can't believe I'm saying this sentence. I'm probably gonna get flagged for this sentence, but I think Adolf Hitler is kind of my go-to Taika Waititi character after Jojo Rabbit. I love his Hitler.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so spoilers over. No spoilers. No more spoilers. We're going to get into the Imagineering story in the world according to Goldblum, but I don't necessarily think those are... I mean, if you really care about spoilers for that, it's, I don't know what to tell you, but so Imagineering story, episode 2, this is the Rocky years, folks. This is the years post-Walt, the what would Walt do situation. And we've got this episode's kind of broken up into kind of 2 halves. It's sort of like the opening of Walt Disney World, culminating with Epcot sort of being a flop at the time. And then sort of like the Oriental Land Company coming in and being like, hey, we'll be your white knight and kind of save you and branch you off overseas and sort of salvage your reputation. And So there's a lot of interesting moving parts to this. I feel like this is a lot less straightforward than episode 1 was, in a good way. Because episode 1 I liked a lot. Like, I do think that episode 1 is kind of like the crown jewel of just, just kind of like a classic sort of like beat-by-beat retelling of the history of Disneyland. But episode 2 is definitely... Episode 2 is definitely where we get into more interesting territory. It's where we get into the gray area. It's where things aren't really perfect in the House of Mouse. And that's exactly what I was kind of hoping for with a documentary like this.
Well, I'm so glad they're sticking with so far, and from what I can tell, it's still being confirmed that we're getting like 6 hours of this thing, which I'm very happy.
Format totally is called for this show for sure.
Which I'm very pleased with too. By the way,
I'm kind of glad that I always decided not to leave this as a movie because there's way too much to work with as a movie.
Totally, I totally agree. Very smart call on her part for sure.
I mean, she'd have to leave out so much. I mean, like the first episode could just 30 minutes, and that could have been the movie in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's so much deep diving to do, and so much stuff you haven't seen or nobody's even heard of or seen in many years, or outside of the people inside the company.
The footage in this is just incredible. I mean, it's some of the footage we've seen before, but honestly, a majority of the footage I have never seen before, and I'm someone who's studied this kind of shit.
Well, this is the underreported story because, of course, when you go in the whole business of Disneyland and basically the actual Imagineering story, but of course, the big sell of that story is Walt coming up with it in the first place. The merry-go-round turned into Disneyland. And it's usually the end of the story is Walt's demise, which, things worked out well with Walt Disney World and et cetera, et cetera. It all went gangbusters. But again, this is the story, the underreported story. I can't say enough nice things about Leslie Iwerks and her documentary prowess. Again, Pixar Stories was one of the meccas of an excellent documentary. It tells you everything you need to know, kind of lays out the story. It's fantastic. And of course, episode 1's the building of a dream. My favorite section, that's the chaos of opening day, and of course, culminates in the death
that needs
of Walt.
to be turned into a biopic.
It does, and that's such a great. That's what I'm saying. That kind of sold me. We got to see that, man, because that's such a great chaotic opening day premise. I love it. Episode 2 is we're continuing. It's about continuing. Honestly, the episode titles kind of say it all too, because episode 2 is it's what would Walt do, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, what will Walt do? So again, it's the whole, we're stepping to the void. The underreported section I love in 2 is Roy Disney. It's the brother who has to continue, he has to carry the baton.
Absolutely.
The rest of the way.
This is one of the best, documentations of Roy Disney, because he is just totally, an unsung force in the Disney canon.
You usually don't hear a lot about Roy anymore.
Most you hear about Roy is the son, is Roy Disney.
It's you never really hear about the brother Roy.
Exactly.
Okay,
most you hear about
basically, it's Walt was the dreamer, he was the one that made it happen.
Yes.
It's
really quick.
Basically, saying Walt, money is a thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. So really quick, Inhuman Quake says, I love the Parks documentary, and I used to watch a lot on Travel Channel when it used to be a thing. The Travel Channel definitely put out a lot of Parks documentaries in Human Quake, but I can safely say, in spite of all the nostalgia I have for those things, this Imagineering story just totally it's in a different league. It just outclasses the Travel Channel stuff in every way.
I also liked the Parks documentary too. I was really
But I'm saying Imagineering story, in terms of just the narrative structure to it mixed with the amazing footage.
I want Iwerks to do all the Disney documentaries now. I just want her to keep doing them all, just because she's so far it's just not.
Selfish, Dragon.
Well, I just want to see her do more, man. She's knocking out of the ball. Let's give her all the Disney. Let's give her a few more Disney Plus documentaries. Let's see what she can do. They're doing a Frozen documentary. Let's have her do that one too while we're at it. Give her. I think she's still. I figured she's supposed to do that one about Iwerks too. I mean, let's put that on here too. Let's do that one.
Wait, they are doing a Frozen documentary? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, I think it's more like a
behind the scenes thing.
I hope if that is a thing, it goes into detail about like the Snow Queen concept and how that evolved over time.
Well, it's more of like it's not an actual. I kind of blew it out of proportion of the whole eye works at all. It's more of like it's all behind the scenes. Like when they did the first Frozen, they did like a little making of like behind the scenes for Frozen.
Okay, so it was basically just a DVD bonus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when they aired it on TV, only in this case they're airing it directly on Disney Plus. That's kind of what they did with the first. They're doing another one of those for 2. That's
I think some of my favorite parts of these episodes, like the interviews with the old and current Imagineers. Like I think, especially love the stuff with like Kim Irvine. She's like one of my favorites on there.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. She's been a steadfast in Imagineering for a long time. It's great that this series is giving her a chance to really shine for sure.
I mean, daughter of Leota Toombs.
The grandma thing melted my heart.
That was great. She's like, look, there's grandma. It's like, look at her. She's telling her kids there's grandmas in the haunted mansion.
So I love I think my favorite element of it, oddly enough, is kind of like the lead-in for the ending, because again, this is leading to the section that we know, but we've been on the filmmaking side of it. It's basically, if I'm not mistaken, the next episode essentially, I didn't watch the sneak peek. I want to go into a little bit blind, but my assumption is the next episode is going to be the theme park side of Waking Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, I'm guessing so, and there is kind of like a big resurgence with the theme parks there in that time period, like Tokyo Disney Sea, especially, which ends out episode 2.
Yeah,
kind of brought about like a lot more goodwill towards the park,
which should bring in a little bit of Frank Wells, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Frank Wells is right around this time.
That's what I'm saying. Have that, and of course the whole I can't wait for them to get to the Eisner of it all. That's going to be fantastic.
Oh my god, yes.
Honestly, I wish they would have shown a little bit more of the Japan stuff, because I'm fascinated in that. But
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
I will say, I hope that eventually Leslie Iwerks does like a side episode just on the Haunted Mansion. Because I think there's enough material there to just easily get like a full hour out of that.
You know, it is possible, and I'm gonna backtrack here for a mini rant. Not on this, but just something that kind of occurred to me. So, of course, with Disney Plus, a big feather in their cap, but unfortunately not as glorious as reported. There are bonus features on a lot of the pretty much everything is streaming. Some bonus features more extensive than others. For example, Endgame full commentary from the DVD.
I don't know if there's any other commentaries on the streaming service right now besides Endgame.
I've looked. I haven't looked at everything. I've looked at quite a number of them, and no.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Which is sad. Yeah. Now, like none of the Toy Story commentaries, which are fantastic, by the way.
I really want the Brad Bird commentaries.
What I'm saying.
Especially if he did a commentary on Incredibles 2.
Well, I told you what they did with that one. Unfortunately, no.
Oh, is it like interviews broken up?
No. I told. Remember, here's the thing: the Brad Bird was, because I love the Brad Bird commentary on the first Incredibles. I love it.
I do too.
And here's the Incredibles. They do it. There's the director's commentary, him and the producer John Walker. And then there's the second commentary, which is basically all the animators, which is also really informative. That is good as well. Now, Incredibles 2 only had one commentary track, and basically it starts off with Brad Bird, and he hands it off to the animator, so he's not there at all for the rest of the commentary.
Okay, that's disappointing.
But still, it's a good commentary. It's just like I wanted.
I have good things to say, but
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's good stuff. It's just like, oh man, I want all Bird, man, all Bird.
It's kind of like if Podcast The Ride got like a really big Imagineer on there, and they just like talked about the Tiki Juice Bar for 10 minutes, and then the Imagineer just pieced out.
Well, my point is, the reason I bring up the bonus features, my disappointment with the bonus features is less the whole like we're lacking commentaries, which does. I was going to really win me on the side of Disney Plus, like, and they're going to have commentaries, the big thing Netflix does not have, but apparently they're a little simple. Now, here's the big kicker, okay? They had some of the famed deleted scenes that did not make it to the DVD for Endgame. Unfortunately, they didn't have them displayed properly. So here's what happened: they had the big alternate ending that was cut. The big where Tony Stark met Catherine Langford,
right?
Who was going to be his full-grown daughter. They had that scene on there. Unfortunately, I was like, oh god, I want to. and watch that scene, but they only had it with commentary, which is like the one. It's the one
Oh
time.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
The one time in my life, I'm like, can we not have it with the commentary? The one time,
right?
So I looked like a madman. Like, where's they have all these other? They basically the version with and without the commentary. We had to search for it. I searched and searched and searched, and it was like nothing. I had to find it online. That I'm gonna rub the dirt in the wound. Disney Plus. I had to find it online because you dropped the ball.
Not great. Not great.
Anyway.
All right, but Dragon, you're absolutely right. The Eisner era stuff is going to be fascinating. I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Jacob, anything else with Imagineering?
No, I pretty much said all I did.
Right. Also, I'm surprised because in this time period, let's see, they did Space Mountain. They talked about Space Mountain. So I think the next big thing that's coming up, that's kind of like imminently coming up, is Big Thunder Mountain, and that should be where Tony Baxter enters the picture.
Well, Tony Baxter's has he shown up? He showed up in two.
I don't. Has he?
They talked about him. I couldn't remember if you interviewed him or not. Or
I don't remember him showing up. Honestly, I
know they talked about him.
Okay. But Tony Baxter, like Big Thunder Mountain, like even if he did show up, like Big Thunder Mountain was kind of like his first big breakout hit as an Imagineer. And of course, Big Thunder Mountain kind of came at a cost of Mark Davis's passion project in the Western River Expedition. So I hope that we get a little bit about that. Especially, I hope we get to hear some stuff from Alice Davis's wife about that. Or I'm sorry, Alice Davis's wife. Mark Davis's wife, Alice Davis.
But that's the thing, Tiki. My favorite through line in this episode that I just love the fact that like we're running out of the creative gas that Walt left behind and like the things that were in development, and basically we're out of those ideas. Now we have to move in the original direction. I love that. I love like that's like the main storyline of 2, where we're completing Walt's vision, but what do we do when Walt's visions run out? What do we do when we're out of stuff?
Uh-huh.
That's great. I guess what I'm saying with the Haunted Mansion things, like, what if in the supplemental stuff we have like deleted scenes or like more of a section on the Haunted Mansion? But again, I wouldn't hold my breath given the state of the other features.
All right. Should we talk about Goldblum? Goldblum.
World, according to Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Okay, guys. God damn it. Oh man. I mean. Look, this is obviously like a less ambitious project than the other 2 things we've talked about so far. But man, this is just like comfort food to a science. Science.
It's comfort food about comfort food.
Oh man, this is comfort food, dude.
And of course, it's very much kind of like the next state. It's like Disney's version of comedians in cars getting coffee. It's kind of like that.
Oh, I think it's. Look, I've checked out a few episodes of that. That is good, but this is just. It's a lot better. I think this is just because of how freeform the format for this thing is.
It's his laid back natural childhood sense of wonder.
Yeah, I'm really digging it, man. I watched the 2 episodes they have up there. It's again, it's kind of taken the analogy I have. It's kind of taking my favorite segment. It's kind of taking a page from the Mr. Rogers book of like, let's just have Mr. Rogers kind of teach us about stuff like going places and just kind of like visiting people. That's kind of like what we're doing there, but with copious amounts of Goldblum charm instead. In this case, like all like the bopping and all, it's all Goldblum, man. It's all.
I mean, look, I'm sure that Jeff is playing it up like a little bit for the cameras. I'm sure
a little bit, mind you.
I mean,
but
I had this like Jeff Goldblum doesn't even know the cameras are rolling; they're just filming him doing what he naturally does.
Yeah,
but I mean, a lot of it is just his natural personality. Especially one of my favorite elements of the show is just him interacting with just average people.
Yeah.
Just like, like waitresses and stuff like that, and him just being so humble and just
him and
I don't know.
Him and the ice cream truck driver was adorable.
Yeah,
yeah.
And when he got to like the sherbet.
Like, I want Jeff Goldblum as my coworker, man. Why can't that happen?
Oh God! Why can't we just clone Jeff Goldblum's and have them all just be our coworkers?
Yeah, let's just go full prestige on them.
have your own personal Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum.
Anyway, but yeah, I love the I love how informative these have been too. Again, I think it's putting the best foot. Again, this is the most interested I've been in Disney's version of a National Geographic thing ever. Versus like I
Oh
can't.
yeah.
So I don't care about any of the animal stuff, but just Jeff Goldblum going around and just kind of teaches and stuff. Like the whole the creation of sneakers, the whole basically just kind of by sheer accident. The ice cream socials that the military has. I think that's precious. Kind of correlating to the taste of nostalgia. Good stuff.
Pure edutainment.
Yes.
All right, but then we get to the salt and straw guy, and this guy is a trip.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I may appreciate his craft, but I'm definitely not going to be trying any of his stuff.
I want to try his stuff.
Okay, and remind me,
there is a salt and straw in downtown Disney, and next time I'm at like that whole segment basically felt like an advertisement for salt and straw. In some ways, it probably was. But no, it worked on me. I mean, yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird, but I want to try it, man.
I mean, I definitely tried the ice cream Goldblum made though.
Okay, now remind me, like this is several like the flowers and stuff in it, right? That's the salt.
Yes.
That's the stuff Goldblum made. Like I'm talking about the stuff like the stuff with the crickets and
I know.
Oh yeah,
I'm saying it's all like the same
cricket flavor or anything, but
sure. Like the stuff looks probably like brains in there. Remember, they're doing the thing with blood too. It's just really creepy. The pig's blood for Halloween.
Like bone marrow and blood cherries.
Now, regardless, I love that in each of these installments. I wonder if you're going to keep it going. I love how Goldblum's like doing his own versions of things, and he made his own. He had his own sneaker made, which he basically reviewed.
Yeah.
Did one of those product reviews on YouTube with, and of course making his own ice cream, which again he gave out there the ice cream social, which is very nice.
Which was amazing. That was a great way to tie everything together, and that's what I'm saying. These episodes just have such a freewheeling structure to them, but by the same token, they do a good job of tying it together thematically. You know, like the ice cream truck leads to the ice cream social leads to the salt and straw guy, the salt and straw guy wraps back around to the ice cream social.
Not to mention the whole Ben and Jerry's aspect too.
Yes. We have to meet that was awesome. I love how he saved like what was Ben or Jerry's life. He saved the one that couldn't taste.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know that about him. It's like that's the reason why they're so chock full of flavors, because the taste tester doesn't have very good sense of taste.
I wonder if what they thought of the Marvel joke about them. The whole like the Avengers have the Ben and Jerry flavors, and I always heard that they actually made those into certain ice cream flavors for like a very limited time. That's what I heard. I never find it.
All right, guys, I'm gonna bore you with like a really random Ben and Jerry's reference from my student film.
Oh God, no.
I'm sorry, Dragon. I just have to point this out. So my student film was called Cloverdale, which is a town about two towns away from me. It's a parody of Cloverfield, and it was shot at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. It's a total like guerrilla found footage movie, totally improvised by me and my buddies. And at one point in the movie, where the plot is that one of my friends is kind of like lost himself from the rest of the group, and he's out on his own with a camera, and he's like out in the outskirts of the park, and he's like, there's nothing around here but the Ben and Jerry's delicious ice cream for everyone. I don't know. And then the delicious ice cream for everyone just kind of became a meme. All right. Anyways, Cloverdale references aside, yeah, Goldblum is fantastic. It's excellent comfort food TV. It's so easy to watch. I want more of it. I'm gonna be sad when it's over.
I gotta tell you, I just love like the randomness of the subject. Go from sneakers to I was just so pleasantly surprised to see, ice cream's the next one, of course, and we're exploring the this universally beloved substance that is ice cream. It's like, what a wonderful next topic we're embarking on. I wonder what the next one's gonna be.
All right. Okay, let's see.
Do I go next, or do you go next with the?
Well, what do you have?
Yeah, if the Forky thing.
Oh, right, Forky. Okay, yeah, let's get to Forky.
So have you checked this out yet?
Unfortunately, it totally I was out seeing a play most of the day, and it totally slipped my mind. So I'm sorry, I can't comment on it yet.
Anyway, so Forky ask a question. So that's so basically this is one of the other. This is kind of the weekly shorts that they're doing. I remember they announced like Tony Hale did a whole bunch of these. So that implies like this one's going to be their main week to week. I presume either when they reach the end of whatever their first, I guess, season or whatever their first, I forget the number was like 40 or something. How many have they done in advance of these? I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, they're really short. I know I can't wait for them to get to the Bo Peep short. That's what I'm really waiting for, the whole Lamp Life. That's going to be like a really good short film. It's going to show you what happened to her in between the scenes in Toy Story 4. But basically, we've had 2 so far. The first one is a Forky asked a question about money, and basically there's a lot of Ham interaction in the 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, I assume Ham comes into play with that one.
But it's money.
Pay for the streaming service with money.
Oh God!
So basically, it's like him telling Ham doing his thing where he's basically doing Cliff from Cheers, where basically he's telling you how things work, but actually knows what he's talking about this time. Telling you how turn $1 into the change and the whole thing. Basically, Forky's he's got Forky being himself. You're not quite getting it. And then we get to the next one's kind of better. The next one's more hysterical and actually more derived from Forky's character. The next one is Forky asks a question: "What is a friend?" Now, what is a friend is essentially Forky. Forky makes a friend, and this friend is not an inanimate object that comes to life as we're used to in Toy Story. His friend is a completely inanimate object. It's not a toy, not any remarkably like a toy. It is a coffee mug with a smiley face.
Oh my God! Yes,
And
that's brilliant. I love that.
Who he names. Basically, it sounds like he named it after a Mark Wahlberg quote.
Oh God!
What? No.
What? No.
Of course, every time I hear that, I'm like, "What? No." But essentially, it's like the idea.
Every time I hear Mark Wahlberg's voice in general, I think of what? No.
So the idea is Ralph Garman, when he does his impression of Mark Wahlberg, it's always the "what no" thing. That's how he does like the perfect. Hey, I think it's a transformer, or what? No, it's like it was in the 2. Anyway, point being, the idea he makes a friend in the form of a coffee cup, and basically he's called it "what no" because it's Bonnie's mom's coffee cup. So the idea is like she's always on the phone chatting it up, and it's like, "What no?"
Oh, yeah, that's clever. I can see that. Yeah.
So I won't tell you where it goes from there. The point being, so far so good. I think the second one's a little funnier, but it's we'll see.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Is it
actually just got cast in the Uncharted movie.
Yeah, I heard about that with Tom Holland. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to be playing Sully, which I think is like really weird and like not good casting at all. But frankly, as much as I like Tom Holland, I don't necessarily think Tom Holland as Nathan Drake is good casting.
Hey, how? Wait a minute. He's playing Nathan Drake.
I'm pretty sure Tom Holland is playing Nathan Drake.
Are you? How into the Uncharted series are you? Because I got nothing.
I have a passing familiarity with the storyline.
What you really got to check out is they did a short film with Nathan Fillion where he played. It was kind of like a fan there.
That's what I'm saying. Nathan Fillion really should be Nathan Drake. I mean,
yeah, they did the. Yeah, you should really check out the short, man. It's a fantastic.
Okay, hold on. I'm googling. Is Tom Holland playing Nathan Drake right now?
I think they did like some sort of trailer for the game where he saw like a young man.
It's so basically the movie is going to be an origin story of how Nathan Drake met Sully.
Yeah, and I think they did like a
younger Tom. It is going to be a younger Nathan Drake, so I guess that checks out.
I remember seeing like a game trailer where they had like a young Nathan Drake, so that sounds like it tracks.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, sorry, folks. I literally haven't owned a PlayStation console since the PS2.
So. Well, to lump it back to the Disney of it all here, Inhuman Quake says, I'll watch Tom Holland in anything now. So, like, yeah, fair enough.
All right.
I mean, he's going to be doing that movie with Downey Jr. Downey Jr. is going to do. I don't know if it's going to be released to Disney, given the fact Disney, they own the rights to the other one. Dr. Dolittle, the Dr. Dolittle remake.
Oh yeah, that looks weird.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to feel about it. Like, it could be good, it could be terrible.
Bear in mind, I believe Tom Holland's in that one too.
Downey Jr.'s accent is a little bit of a head scratcher.
I'm just really waiting for Downey Jr. to do that third Sherlock Holmes movie. That's what I'm really waiting for.
Yeah.
Downey Jr. had a lot of projects in the works. I always got kind of like sidetracked. He's going to do that Pinocchio movie. He was going to play Geppetto.
Oh, fucking A. That's a weird concept for a movie, but...
All right,
Anyways.
So other remakes.
Yes, Lady and the Tramp. Guys, I gotta say, I found this one delightful. I really did. Is it going to blow your mind? Is it going to be like one of the best Disney films ever? Oh my God, top 10 of the year? Hell no, of course not. But I will say that it is
Best of the remakes.
Yes. I liked Aladdin quite a bit. I did like Aladdin quite a bit. But obviously with Aladdin, the remake does pale in comparison to the original. Of course. With this, I gotta tell you guys, Lady and the Tramp, it's never been my favorite Disney movie. It's always been kind of like one of the Walt era Disney movies that I go back to the least. And I honestly think this one might be just as good, if not maybe a little better. Just not in terms of animation. I want to make this crystal clear. The original has like beautiful, breathtaking animation and backgrounds and all that shit. And it's classic, and it's got the Bella Notte scene and the iconic, spaghetti scene and all that. I don't take any, like obviously the original is a more iconic, more artistically driven movie. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just purely on a pacing point of view, and maybe on a character development point of view, this is stronger. I definitely think you get a lot more of a sense of Tramp's character in this one. I feel like in the original, he was just kind of vaguely like a, like a drifter guy. And in the original, in this one, Justin Theroux, I got to tell you, Justin Theroux, I've always thought that he was perfect casting as the Tramp, and he does not disappoint at all. I really thought he just fit into the role like a glove. There are some interesting changes along the way. Jock is now a female dog who is the Scotty dog.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
Is it Kate McKinnon? Did they make Kate McKinnon?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who voices what, honestly. It could be. But there's a gag where it's like the owner is always putting her in like different outfits and stuff. Look, I'll say this much. It was a change that I don't think ruins the story or anything. It's a little bit of a twist. I kind of appreciated it. I kind of, and you got fucking Sam Elliott as Trusty. All right, Sam Elliott as Trusty is about as spot on with that character as you can possibly get.
Well, my favorite scene from Lady and the Tramp is always the Bella No. I go back to that one regularly. Gotta be honest.
Well, I can't say that this one does it better.
Like the friend, the friendly restaurateurs, they're in it, surely, aren't they?
Oh yeah, sure, but
a fair part.
Yeah, but just in general, like I said, this clearly isn't as artistically, ambitious as the original one was, because the original one, at least in terms of backgrounds and stuff like that, and importantly, the original was the first contemporary animated Disney movie. That's a big distinction as well. But so obviously it's not like, this isn't gonna like break any records or break new ground or anything like that. But I gotta tell you, just as far as remakes are concerned, this is one of the very few Disney remakes that actually, I'm not going to say it's overall a better film, but it definitely improves some narrative stuff with the original. I definitely bought Tramp's character a lot more. I do think that Lady and Tramp have good chemistry with each other throughout. I think that the pacing in this one is honestly a lot better. I think that the story's tighter. So yeah, I just overall I was very pleasantly surprised.
All right.
In Human Quake, yeah, most of the songs are in there in Human Quake. I can't say that all of them are, because honestly, it's been a while since I watched the original, so I don't. There might be literally a song in the original that I don't remember.
Oh, the Siamese cat thing.
Oh no, that's not in there. That's not in there. Of course, no. I'm sorry, Todd.
I gotta be honest. I wonder, given like all these like in these we're taking out certain episodes of things and everything. I wonder, because right now they're sticking to their guns as a point of pride. Like, yeah, we're not shying away from.
I can't believe that the Indians from Peter Pan are still there.
That's what I'm saying. But that. But seriously,
we've had this conversation before. But I think the Red Man is like 10 times more offensive than the crows in Dumbo.
That's what I'm saying. It's the fact that like right now it's a point of pride for them that okay, we're not taking anything out. We're keeping it as historical, which I can respect. You know, we're not going to mess with things. Would this happen historically? And whatever argument you want to make for it, it's like, yeah, it's there. It's what it is. We're dealing with it now. We want Dumbo. You know, say what you will. And of course, obviously, if they alter, they change anything, then you're going to have an uproar of like. You can have the cinephiles saying like, "How dare you alter the original artistic intent and all this?" And you're gonna have that, and you're gonna have the people saying, "Well, it's about time. There's gonna be a war brewing." So you can't win either way. And of course, with this point of pride, I think the Simpsons thing is gonna like might dovetail into. Well, if they're changing this, they're adding McClunkies in the Star Wars. Well, why haven't they made changes to the more offensive? To the more offensive stuff, then it's going to open a can of worms. But so far, so I don't know. We'll see where it goes. All
right. Okay, and now it's time to get to Tales from the Vault. What have we been watching on Disney Plus recently besides the new stuff? What have we been diving into? Who wants to start?
Dragon.
Yes. Oddly enough, just by sheer coincidence, because I'm waiting for one of the things for December, which Tiki and I are probably simpatico. We're just gonna wait till closer to December to really dive into that.
I'm probably gonna watch that on Thanksgiving week.
Oh sure. I mean, it's close to point being, I'm actually by sheer happenstance I was binging something which kind of led into a few movies by connection of the same piece. Recess. Watched all the Recess stuff.
Ooh.
So again,
all of it.
I'm sorry.
You literally binged through the whole show.
Well, yeah, the whole show, and binged the whole show, and I watched pretty much. I'll be pleased. I watched 2 out of the 3 movies. I've seen the Grown Down before. I didn't really want to rewatch it. It's not that terrible.
I don't blame you for that.
Not terrible. I just don't like it.
Regardless, it does ruin the canon a little bit.
Well, I mean, they were. You're right. Yes. The point being. Oh, it's not like I think there's some. It doesn't matter. My point is, I watched the important stuff. I watched the series, which again, as I mentioned, here's the thing: the first season, I didn't double check the episodes in their precise order initially because the first season seemed like okay. It was kind of a surprise. You're going through everything. The first season, it's all old episodes, it all tracks. Like okay, the first season, I noticed that it's like the first episode, if I'm remembering correctly, it's along the lines of well, Gus is introduced. Of course, Gus would have to be introduced early on because he's the new kid. That's the whole story there.
Right,
so that makes sense. That's in the first episode, along with like TJ trying to escape to get back on the playground. So those 2 episodes make perfect sense. You establish your premise, and then the next episode we introduce Gus. Perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming okay, everything else is in order. So it's that's fine. It's like 12 episodes, of course, like 2 parts each, so essentially 24 broad spectrum. So it's all fine. It's all great. Season 2, roughly, essentially the same thing. We didn't get to season 3. That's where I initially had a big moment because I then checked the episodes, not necessarily for the order, but I could have sworn there were more seasons of Recess. Now, I initially had a moment of panic where I saw 3 seasons and there were 6. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened is, again, I'm not crazy about this, and Batman the Animated Series sometimes does this as well, like especially when you go to the DC universe, or sometimes they pile up all the 4 individual seasons into 2 giant seasons, and it's weird. But
that's really annoying.
I know it's because you got to remember the show kind of changes name when you get to the revamps, and then you have
right.
The point being there's like 3 seasons that are melded into 2 seasons. It gets confusing, but my point is. With Recess, what they did is they blended like essentially 3 seasons, which got to remember the 5th and the 6th seasons are like really short seasons. So they blended them all in one thing, which kind of I initially had to do the kind of like, okay, this many, okay, all the episodes are there, sigh of relief. But then as I'm watching through, I'm like, oh god, it's like classic episode. And the new episode towards the end, it's like the digital cleanup, digital cleanup, and then vice versa. It's like, oh man. So you're never going to get like what the actual ending was until you go to the movies, which then the movies essentially the way the canon goes. You have Schools Out, then you have essentially the epilogue piece, which is they go to the 5th grade, which is how that goes. But I got to tell you, I watched Schools Out last, man. I got to tell you, Schools Out still holds up, man.
Oh hell yeah, it does.
Man, because I won't put all of these. Let me this way. My favorite episodes. I gotta tell, I emotionally got really involved in Recess rewatching because I was like, I'm getting so soft in my old age. I really am because like certain things, like my favorite episodes, I was rewatching. Like, oh god, it's so beautiful.
Well, Recess, I feel like is kind of like the last gasp of just like a show that's just purely just childhood innocence and kids like just like playing outside, and there's no technology or anything involved. There's no memes or like pop culture. I mean, there are pop culture references here and there, but they're done in a subtle way, man.
Yeah, but Recess is kind of a graduation as well as kind of a
I was saying the episode. I don't know why, but the episode that it's not even my favorite episode. The episode that always sticks out to me is the box.
Oh yes, the box. Oh, guys, essentially Miss Finster draws like four lines and basically puts someone in timeout, but it's like a mentally mind games where basically TJ develops claustrophobia. It's ridiculous.
Okay, my favorite episode, another Finster episode, is Weekend at Finster's.
Yes,
that's
that's a good one. You know what's funny? I don't think it's not on Disney Plus because essentially it's like it was a clip show. That's why they didn't do it on Disney Plus. But there was I had the VHS tape for this. They had like the seasonal episodes where they had like basically the teachers are snowbound and they're reflecting on like good. Like Miss Groku's make is devil's advocate to Finster and Principal Prickly in the car saying, "Oh, those are rotten kids." And we have like 3 of the episodes there. Principal for a Day, which is one of my favorites as well, where basically TJ, basically Principal who tried to corrupt TJ.
Mm-hmm.
We had the I think we have the Spinelli thing there. Miss Finster, of course, she had kind of a bond with Spinelli, and then we have, if not the Can Drive as well, which is one a part of me wants to do this month, but obviously we're not going to have time for it. And then they, of course, have the Christmas episode, which we have covered in Christmas in July, which is one of the best episodes. It's one of the really good ones of Recess, that holiday episode. Anyway, so my favorites were Picture Day. Picture Day is like the one that keeps getting me like, oh, God, it's like, this beautiful frame with the episode. It's like basically turn the playground into a battlefield, like who's going to get dirty before Picture Day. And then you get to, I think one of my all-time favorites, Dodgeball City, where it's a Western with Gus. And I love
that one.
Then, of course, there's overall, the Senior Fusion movie where basically TJ gets into a trivia contest with Principal Prickly so they can take the whole school to the movies. So they get the premiere of especially in the climate that we're living in today with the superhero movies being released. It's great to revisit. Overall, I kind of like the way I love Mr. Krabs. I love Principal Prickly so much. He's my favorite character in the show.
Another episode I remembered was C Note.
Yes, that's not one of my favorites. That's a good one.
And I know it's what I remember for some reason.
Sure. That's the thing. Principal Prickly is always just one of the great characters of that show, man. He's like Dabney Coleman, man. Dabney, the Chief Quimby from sorry, it's a live action Inspector Gadget. The point being, Dabney Coleman, great actors. I love. He was always great. Anyway,
I just point out that Gus and Sam from Rocket Power have almost the exact same character.
Pretty much. But that's what I was getting at, Tigger. The trippy thing.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, one of the creators used to work with Klasky Chupo.
Yes, Paul Germain.
He co-created Rugrats.
Yeah, every episode's like Recess brought to you by Paul and Joe, or created by Paul and Joe. I forget who. My point is
Joe Anzalaba here.
Yes. Now, my point is, I love how Recess, in a sense, is kind of a graduation of. It's sort of like a graduation between Rugrats and Codename Kids Next Door, but it's like more grounded. So imagine if Codename Kids Next Door was much more grounded, but also came from that kind of wealth of the creativity of like a Paul Germain from a Class Cusco sort of thing. So it's kind of like, I don't know, there's something really special about in that regard. Again, it's like not too over the top, but there's some embellishment here or there, obviously, but it's like it's not to the point of like, how would this world really operate with the Codename Kids Next Door? But it's like, okay, you get a sense how it would operate, but we can get away with a few like little nods of Codename Kids Next Door here and there.
All right. Is that all you've been binging?
Yeah, just all Recess. Yeah,
all Recess.
First thing's all Recess for me. Yeah.
All right, Jacob.
Believe it or not, I actually haven't been watching too many other stuff than this. I mean, I checked out a couple episodes here and there of I've been mainly looking at to see what they have more than actually watching anything really. To be honest, I mean, I've been mostly checking out like a lot of the newer stuff since my schedule's been kind of busy and I've been doing other stuff and stuff like that. But I mean, I've been wanting to get back. Like I've been eyeing going back into the Disney afternoon stuff. Honestly, I haven't really been binging much outside of the new stuff. Honestly, if I'm sorry.
No problem. Hold on one sec, guys. Okay, sorry guys. All right. Well, as for me, I have, as you guys know, I've kind of been devoted to digging into some of the more obscure stuff. But besides the obscure stuff, I've been just kind of revisiting some of my favorites. Of course, Alice in Wonderland and Fantasia are like always my go-to Disney movies. I think I'm pretty much solidified in that they are my two favorites. No gummy bears yet, Monkey. No. Not yet. Let's see. Other stuff that I've been looking into. No series just yet, although I do very much want to get into the Disney afternoon stuff for sure. I'm not sure if I'll start at DuckTales. I think I'm probably going to. I'm thinking I'm probably going to start with either Darkwing Duck or Tailspin.
I think the thing I was going to start with either Tailspin or Gargoyles.
Gargoyles is a good place to start.
Gargoyles is my next stop, if I'm being frank. It's either that or Spider-Man's going to be my next stop.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing is that there. I do like how much Spider-Man is on there.
Oh yes, so much Spider-Man the big film.
Except
the best one, yes, except the best.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like obscure stuff, honestly, guys, I cannot I love true life adventures. Like I could care less about the modern day Disney nature documentaries. But the 60s true life adventures, I think there's maybe about 5 or 6 of them on there. I love all of them. They're just they're such great kind of time capsules of the edutainment of the time, and all of them kind of have like old school like animation, and there is a lot of stuff going on. It's not just footage of animals, but the footage of animals they do have is really compelling footage, and so I really recommend the True Life Adventures. I really dig them. But
no.
Go ahead. What?
Oh, I just remembered. Technically, something I have been checking out is Legend of the Three Caballeros officially.
Oh yeah. I watched the first episode of that. I'm kind of waiting to get a chance to just binge the whole thing in one go. I will say that I am very impressed with the animation. Inhuman Quake, Timon and Pumbaa is definitely on there. I do want to get a chance to loop back around and check that thing out. Definitely have childhood nostalgia for that show. I do very much think that show very much plays to Timon and Pumbaa's strength is purely cartoon characters, because of course that show was kind of in the Looney Tunes vein of just like ridiculous situations and no real continuity. So all right. But of course, importantly, I've been kind of obsessively digging through the archives and trying to find obscure live action movies. And I've come across a couple of them. I did watch the original Love Bug. Guys, honestly, I'm just going to say this up front. The original Love Bug is kind of awesome. It's honestly got a really good cast. It's got most importantly, it's got David Tomlinson from Mary Poppins, and he is the literal mustache twirling bad guy, and he is just great, and he gets shit on so much in the movie, and he's just kind of a meme. But help me out here. Who's the voice of Scuttle?
Buddy Hackett.
Yeah, Buddy Hackett. That's it. Buddy Hackett's in the movie, and he's got a pretty major role. He's actually the guy who names Herbie.
Oh.
And I gotta say,
he named him in the movie and in real life.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Buddy Hackett is kind of the reason to check this movie out. Buddy Hackett and David Tomlinson. It's legitimately a good movie. It's not a great movie. Again, it's not going to blow any doors down or anything, but it's solid for what it is.
It's better than a talking dog movie for sure.
Now, I gotta say, I'm kind of dreading watching Herbie Rides again, because literally none of the characters from the original return, and I really haven't heard of any of the actors in that movie.
Well, I think it's the idea, Tika. The car goes to a new place each time, so it's
no, because once you loop back around to Herbie Goes Bananas Dragon, there's a big arc here. Herbie Goes Bananas co-stars Dean Jones, who is the main character in The Love Bug, the racer.
I thought that was in Monte Carlo that he was in.
Oh, I think you're right. It could be Monte Carlo, yeah. And more importantly, God damn it, Don Knotts is his co-star.
Oh boy,
I can't wait to get to that. I love Don Knotts. I can't wait to get to the Apple Dumpling Gang movies. But
Don Knotts.
Why are there so many ostriches? The ad said there'd only be a few. All right. But guys, this leads us to Tiki's obscure pick of the week. Bum, bum, bum. Ooh. Oh, boy. All right, guys. This is this is a little... I am honestly surprised this thing's on here because it's a little bit culturally insensitive to today's prying eyes, but we're going to talk about a little movie called The Castaway Cowboy. The Castaway Cowboy. Get excited.
Well, it's obscurity. You're going to have to give context.
All right. So this is a 1974 Western family action adventure movie. Disney Plus sums this up as James Garner plays a Shanghaied Texan forced to jump ship in the waters off Kauai, only to be rescued by a 12-year-old boy who happens to be the only white person on the island. While he waits to return home, the cowboy helps defend his rescuer's family from an unscrupulous businessman and an evil witch doctor. Oh boy, Jesus Christ, this movie's ridiculous. It really is. So we've just got this Texas guy, and he is just as stereotypical as you can imagine. He's just like, yeah, I love the wide open plains in Texas, and I rodeo bulls. Literally,
really, Diane.
Really, Diane. Literally, the first thing he does is like there's like bulls that are kind of fucking with the family's crops, and he's like, no, I'm going to take care of this shit. And he puts those bulls in line, man. He really does. And this movie is just kind of like it's just a mess. Monkey, if you're still watching, the actress who plays Bloody Mary in the South Pacific remake is in this, and she is the housekeeper to the one white family on the island. This is Song of the South for Polynesian people, folks. I'm
not
going
to land us in hot water anywhere.
Oh man, look, this is not a good movie at all. But in terms of like just a goofy, like what the fuck am I watching? Just like, the Texas cowboy showing the indigenous natives the way. It's kind of like a reverse Dances with Wolves, because honestly, instead of him getting into the culture, it's kind of the other way around. The indigenous people kind of get into the Texas culture. And the witch doctor is not great. The businessman's even worse. It's a really, really bad movie. It really is. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I would recommend it if you are curious and you are like me and you've kind of and you've got a glutton for punishment and you're just really into like these weird, goofy, obscure little products like that. I mean, it totally is just a product. It's like, honestly, to me, it's like with these Disney Plus movies, these movies from the archives, it totally just kind of comes down to like, what is the goofiest title? That's sort of what I'm looking for. And I feel like it kind of brings me back to my days browsing the video store shelves, because I am just literally kind of just like browsing these things just based on the titles alone. And Castaway Cowboy, it's not a great film, but it's definitely kind of like fills the niche of like just oh man, I've never heard of that before in my life. What am I in for with this?
I could have sworn that was Tom Hanks. Well, it was like an obscure nickname for Tom Hanks once. The Castaway Cowboy.
The Castaway Cowboy is an obscure.
Get it? He was in Castaway, but he's also known for being a cowboy, especially with a certain.
Well, honestly, I would really like it if that was the case, and if that nickname came about specifically because of that movie, that would be delightful. All right.
Anyway, so with the holidays coming around, I know it's not Black Friday yet, but who's got something on their wish list?
Oh yeah, right. We're doing that.
Yes, it's called reading, Tiki.
Yes, the wish list. Jacob, why don't you go first?
One thing I've noticed is like a lot of their for at least for like the television side of things, a lot of their stuff from like the early to mid 2000s aren't even on there at all. So I'd like to see like some more stuff from that era. Like House of Mouse, Dave the Barbarian, all that kind of stuff.
I thought House of
Dave the
Mouse was on there.
Barbarian.
I didn't see it. I searched for it. It wasn't there.
It might be a Netflix thing.
Hold on.
I know they had some House of Mouse stuff on that. I forget if the show was on Netflix and there was like another holdover thing where they're dealing
I
with.
just searched for it too, and there's no results for House of Mouse.
Strange. Well, I might be coming to them with the whole. I don't know.
I mean, Dave the Barbarian, like Buzz on Maggie, all that stuff. Like
Buzz Lightyear at Star Command. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dragon agrees.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have two things I want on my wish list this holiday season, folks. Two things. I want Buzz Lightyear Star Command as the numero uno, and Legend of Tarzan if I can have a second.
Mhm.
I want Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Darn it!
Well, like I said, like a lot of their like television efforts from like the early to mid 2000s aren't even on there. Like they skipped over like 2000 to 2005.
And Kim Possible made the cut, which
Kim Possible made the cut. Recess made the cut, but
But technically, Recess is more 90s.
it feels nice. I don't think it is technically.
Isn't it technically like? Didn't it come out in like 1999?
It was like 90. It was either 98 or 99. It was one of the two.
Well,
It's one of those weird like animated shows that it kind of feels like both eras, honestly.
I mean, I might be misremembering, but those are pretty much the only two that made the cut. But they're pretty much all the other stuff. They're pretty much like skipped over from like.
It was 1997. Okay,
Oh,
yeah, it is kind of more of a.
No, that
90s
makes
show.
sense because it has like at least 4 seasons of the classic animation style and 2 of it. Anyway,
So yeah, it kind of just like skips over like 2000, like the 2000, like 2005, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
For as far as like their TV animation stuff goes, and they had some pretty good shows in that era too.
I wonder if Phil the Future's on Disney Plus right now.
Well, I don't know. That's another good one. Phil the Future, Fillmore. I
I'm
just
pretty
remember
sure it
Fillmore.
is.
Oh God, I want Fillmore. Yes, Fillmore. Oh my God, yes, Fillmore. I want Fillmore.
Yeah, the guy who created that's now.
Phil of the Future is on there, Dragon.
Oh,
Oh, it is nice.
Yeah.
and I tell you, Fillmore. Oh, goodness, yes, Fillmore. Please, Fillmore. That's my third. My third is Fillmore.
God.
Yes.
That pretty much covers like all of the my basis on what I'd want. I mean, obviously some of the movies, but I mean that's probably going to be coming sooner or later because of Netflix or other stuff. But specifically, that's what I'm asking for.
Okay.
All right, Dragon. Anything else on your end?
No, just I've completed my trifecta with Fillmore right now. It's Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
And Human Quake, good point. Teacher's Pet made the cut. Now that's the one that did make the cut, and I'm glad that did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good. That's a good one. That eventually I'm going to get to that one too, but I'm just not. It's Nathan Lane at his finest. Anyway.
All right, so shocker, some of my picks are like the more obscure side of things.
Get out.
I would really like to see some of the more old school TV stuff get on there. So, for example, I would really like to see like
Wonderful
some of the
World
old...
of Color.
Yes, exactly. Like some of the like you don't necessarily have to put every episode ever on there by any means. Like you don't have to put every episode of the Mickey Mouse Club or anything, but like give us a sampling, give it like there's certainly a lot of Mickey Mouse Club serials that they could put on there. They have a couple of them.
I want to see Zorro.
Zorro would be good, yeah, for sure. There might be some rights issues there.
Maybe. I mean, well, Sign of Zorro's on there, so.
Oh, is it? Okay. Let me see. Like I would love to see some of the Disneyland, the old Disneyland, like the Tomorrowland stuff. You guys know what I mean? The Ward Kimball, like Man in Space stuff.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see that stuff on there. I would love to see basically any of the educational stuff, like Donald Duck and Mathemagic Land and stuff like that. Anything educational.
But there is some kind of Donald Duck, like Plausible Impossible or something like that.
Yeah, that's an animation. That's an animation documentary thing.
Are the Goofy shorts on there?
No, I don't think so.
Well, they should.
Yeah, they are. The how-tos.
Yeah.
But you know what
the
really
how-tos are on there, yeah.
You know what needs to be on there though? The Muppet Show.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes. Also, to answer Inhuman Quake's question that we kind of glossed over, apologies. Unfortunately, Oswald is not on there as of yet. Unfortunately.
They're developing an original show for it, so.
Well, that's good, but I mean, the shorts. Trust me, guys, you're not missing much with the Oswald the Lucky Rabbit shorts. You really aren't. But yeah, they're not on there. Let's see.
You probably wouldn't even be in good quality anyway to put on there, good enough quality.
Yeah, but speaking of which, I mean, you want to talk really obscure stuff. What about like the Laugh-O-Grams? Like literally the first animation that the Disney Brothers ever made.
That's a solid pick. That's a solid one.
The Alice comedies?
The Alice comedies, sure.
I mean, I tell you, they have the first Mickey on Disney Plus right now. I'm convinced they have the first Mickey Mouse show I ever saw. The whole band thing. They're always leading the one-man band,
I'm sure they have that. The band concert.
Yeah, the band, because I saw a whole bunch of the old ones. I mean, I'm sure that and the cards with the first Mickey Mouse shorts I saw. Those two. That one has like he basically goes. They has like the mirror gag. Remember?
So yeah, I mean, just like I said, just really, I would love. I mean, I gotta tell you guys, I am kind of like one of those people where it's like I would kind of sacrifice like not having every single movie on there if it meant we would get like a rotated, curated library of like old school stuff like that. Like I don't know, like I'd love to get like you said, like the Wonderful World of Color and stuff, and hell, this is never going to happen, but I'd love to get like a compilation. I'm sure I can look this up on YouTube too, but a compilation of Michael Eisner intros from the Wonderful World of Disney and stuff like that.
I wish I could have the Disney intros like that Tinkerbell thing, which I might be in the Wonderful World of Color for all I know, but I know it's at the end of the Peter Pan VHS tape.
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner.
How about Disneyland?
Yes, Disney. Well, like I said, I think Disneyland, like not every episode of Disneyland you need to put on there, but certainly all the Tomorrowland stuff, all the Ward Kimball Man in Space stuff certainly should be on there. I love all that stuff. It's just like, it's like classic, like 50s Ray Bradbury retrofuturism at its finest. All right. And, maybe Song of the South. It's never going to happen.
I knew you were going to happen. I knew you were going to bring it up. I swear, like I was saying, I was about to bring it up, and I was like, no, he's going to reference.
I mean, the only like I said, it's like if we have the fucking Castaway Cowboy on there, which is literally just like, oh, hey, look at the one white family on this island full of indigenous people, and the main indigenous person is like vaguely a servant to them. Isn't that great?
Fairness, I think we give the Cowboys kind of a little. I think we cut the Cowboys some slack.
I'm not cutting the Cowboys some slack.
No, I'm not saying it's right.
That's an obscure pick that I dug up that is legitimately problematic, and
I'm not saying it's just. I'm just saying. I think if you notice, I think we have a tendency to cut the Cowboys slack.
All right. Inhuman Quake says holiday special, be obscure Star Wars.
All right, real quick. This is John Favreau says open to doing a new holiday special because there's a reference in Man. Remember, yes, there was a light.
Yes, fuck yes, give it to me.
He said he wants to do it, but it's a question if they're going to let him do it. So they allow him to. He's going to do a new Life Day special.
Oh my god. Fun fact: according to Man-Eating Wreath, who works at Downtown Disney. Apparently, there were about 200 people in Galaxy's Edge today that did an unofficial Life Day celebration.
Huh.
I'm going to have to look into the details of this, like how they went about it.
I guess they watched our little video.
Inhuman Quake, please don't start a hashtag for Song of the South. Please, that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
don't do it. Don't do it. Like, I'm not even championing. I'd like to see it on there, but honestly, Song of the South is kind of one of those movies where it's probably the better home for Song of the South is probably like a watch cartoons online, which I'm sure you can find it if you look hard enough.
Much as I love Zippity Doodah, I don't really think we should go that far with
it. Right. I certainly don't endorse any Song of the South hashtags.
Personally, I always go with the Johnny Mercer Zippity Doodah, but that's just me.
Well, Dragon, I go with the Zippity Rap, motherfucker.
Oh, you mother. Anyway.
Well, you know it is a thriller when you go downhill.
Taking all the class. I'm talking like the ending of Wade and Sleep Beauty. You have that Zippity Doodah chorus. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Anyway.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Any final thoughts from you guys, gentlemen, on the first official week that was kind of broken up into two chunks?
Well, so far it looks like Mandalorian and the Imagineering documentary are really the ones stealing everything. But on the whole, everything seems to be going pretty well so far.
Goldblum is kind of like quietly like sliding under the radar, and he's like honestly, I think Goldblum might be the most rewatchable out of all of them.
I won't lie, it's kind of true. But what I'm saying, so far so good. It's just again, just the whole display of things. That's the issue.
Goldblum feels like something you could like set your TV to sleep to.
Oh my god, that's totally what I'm saying. I can't wait till all the Goldblum episodes are up and I can just watch them all in a row and fall asleep to them.
Dulcet tones of Jeff Goldblum.
Dude, I'm not kidding. Goldblum's voice is absolutely ASMR, for sure. But,
you even know what ASMR stands for?
Not off the top of my head.
I know what it means. I'm just not sure. I can't forget what it stands for. Like,
I don't know what it means. I don't know what that means or stands for. So, unlike Captain America, I did not understand that reference.
All right.
Okay, well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano. Just Plus and Us. Goldblum makes good ice cream.
Ben Jerry, best ice cream.
Goldblum finds a way.
I saved your life, Ben.
Ben and Jerry's delicious ice cream for everyone.
Do.